Hey guys, what's up? I'm Zach. Welcome to Zach's Soapbox. Back with another video for the week of Friday, December 19th, 2025. Hello everyone, I'm Zach. I'm your host of this little shindig we call Zach's Soapbox. Um, Once a week I get on here, speak my mind, talk about whatever I want to talk about. Welcome to my corner of the internet and my corner of YouTube. Hope you like it. Please feel free to like, comment, and share and all that stuff. It really supposedly helps the channel out. Um, we're closing in on, at the time of recording, we're closing in on 60 subscribers and things like that. So, the channel is slowly growing, slowly. But like I said, please feel free to like, comment, and share, and give me your thoughts on this week's video and every subsequent video, too, and previous and everything like that. But anyways, this week, like I say, we always do something different here at the Soapbox. Here's what I got for you this week. Never allowed to grow up and feeling like you're a child forever. Never being allowed to grow up and feeling like you're a child forever. And I'm sure with me being wheelchair bound and having cerebral palsy, there's a certain factor to that. I'm sure that plays a factor because there is a tendency to kind of want to infantilize the disabled and things like that. So I'm sure me being disabled plays a factor, and me having cerebral palsy and being wheelchair bound can play a factor. But see, the thing with life is you never change more between the time you're born and, like, say, the time you're like 20 or 25. Once you get set in your ways, like now, I turned 40 years old this year. So now, the age I am now, I'm kind of set in my ways and set with how things are and that sort of thing. But so, like, when you grow personally and you reach milestones, you get your driver's license, you fall in love, you get married, you buy a house, you have your first kid, etc., etc. Like, those milestones kind of prove adulthood. And I think sometimes, too, maybe it plays a factor that, like, because some of those milestones, like, I never had children, or I never really have been married. I mean, I've been in relationships and things like that, but never been married, you know what I mean? Never had kids. So, but what I kind of want to talk about is kind of how people that knew you as a child never truly see you as an adult. You're the same age you were when they knew you years ago, and you're that age forever. So they miss all the personal growth, personal changes. Like, I was back home almost 5 years ago now, and my one aunt brought up about how I didn't like nuts in my ice cream, like butter pecan, which I like it now, but I didn't like it when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And they're still talking about something when you were 5, because that was the last time they really interacted with you. So, like, take, say, even like the Soapbox. Well, Zach does YouTube videos. Yeah, but some people just know me from this, or know me from other things that they don't know me from. So, like, when someone meets you, when you meet new people, they don't carry that baggage of knowing you when you were little and things like that. Another thing that makes you different from people and how people change is, I have different memories of the same incident than some of my siblings or my parents, that sort of thing. And sometimes as people change, you realize you don't like that person anymore. The person that you knew, that you liked, is not who they are years later. So people certainly change, but I've always just kind of felt like I was never allowed to grow up. Or, like, say, when I've had it in a rare occasion that I let my family know that I have a girlfriend, everybody gets all weird. Everybody starts coming around, kind of nosing and poking in business and things like that. Christ, that year and a half I was dating June, I saw Mom and everybody more in that, like, year than I did the previous fucking 10. And then as soon as the girlfriend was gone, so was all the, oh, we ought to do this and we ought to do that. But that's beside the point. But always just feeling like you're a child forever. Like, when I'm on the phone talking to people, I feel like they're still talking to a little kid. That I'm a 40-year-old man. I know how to pay my bills. I know how to, cross the road by myself. I know how to, call the bus if there's a problem, or I'm allowed to go out in fucking public. I think one of the reasons they want me to come back is they still want me to kind of revert. And there's part of me that wants to go back too. But they still want me to kind of revert and back to being that child where I have to depend on them. So sometimes I think for people that used to know you when you were a child, independence is scary. And that's exactly what I've gained by being out here in Vegas. So that independence scares them. I don't need them. And so they don't feel needed. But if they would just, you know what I mean? Like, say, I'll give you an example. Before I moved out here, probably about 2018, I was talking to a girl online on Facebook. And she lived over in Ohio, and I lived in West Pennsylvania. So we were talking for a while, and she drove down from Ohio over to PA where I was, and I'll be honest, we hooked up and we had sex. I used a condom and all that, but I never told my family because it was just a hookup and a one-night stand, basically. A one-time wham bam, thank you, man. But you also never tell them because, like, I always felt like I was never allowed to have a girl come over to the house. I always felt like awkward, even growing up. Puberty was awkward. Like, all teenage boys masturbate. I did it. You know, everybody does it, right? And everybody has done it. But when I did it, it was more dirty and more sinful, as if there was something wrong with it. You know what I mean? I've always felt like I was never truly allowed to be a teenager or to be well, we didn't think that you would think like that. Think like what? A normal fucking human being? Essentially, that's that when they say, well, we didn't think that you would think like that. Like what? A normal human being? Do you really think I've never tried marijuana? Do you really think I've never been drunk? Do you really think I've never had sex with a woman? You know what I'm saying? We're getting off topic a little bit, but like a child forever. You know what I mean? Whereas, like out here in Vegas, when I meet people, they meet the adult. Whereas if I go back to PA, also because there's no real infrastructure in my area of Pennsylvania, where they don't have 24-hour transportation and handicapped taxis and, you know, well, Zachary, it's different now when you're out there in Vegas because you're able to go somewhere by yourself. I was always able to go by myself, I just didn't have the fucking ability. You know what I mean? It's always this, you're a child. So sometimes, like, when I talk to people, like back home, sometimes I want to get off the phone because now I feel worse than what I did before I fucking talked to you. To where you almost just want to keep the conversation short and sweet just to not get too depressed and too angry. You know what I mean? Or like say because you moved out here by yourself and you're living and surviving and making it, now people want to take credit because, oh, look at you, so independent. Yeah, but I did it. You motherfuckers didn't even know I was moving until I moved. You know what I mean? I was already here for like 4 days before anybody even knew I moved. But sometimes I get tired of feeling like I'm a child forever. And, you know, one thing I'll say about Vegas, while Vegas has its problems, the independence, because of the infrastructure and stuff that Vegas provides, that becomes addicting, and you don't want to give that back. If I go back to PA, I'm back to being like the town crippled or something, and just it revokes your child card. You know, like I had a girlfriend when I lived at Reynolds West. I had a girlfriend in there and everything. She was an older woman. We only went on a few dates, and yes, we had sex on the first date. That was her idea, not mine. But yes, I had sex with a woman. But I never bothered to tell a lot of my family because, again, they see you as a fucking child. You know what I'm saying? You don't bother to share, like, love and intimacy details and things like that because, one, who wants to share that with people like their grandma and stuff like that? But the point being is that because of that, because I have to stay so secretive, because people get weird when I have a girlfriend, for example, as if I'm not allowed to date, I have to keep everything really secret. You know what I mean? And it has to be a pretty serious relationship for like me to even introduce the girl to my family or to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times it doesn't last that long. Or, you know, if it's just a booty call, why would I, hey, grandma, I got a booty call last night. You're not going to tell that to grandma or Aunt Tabby or whoever. But I don't know, guys. I just kind of wanted to get some stuff off my chest and just say that, you know what I mean? But I think, when you meet people, they meet you at the age you were when you meet somebody new. When it's somebody like an old family member, not to mention, I've been out here in Vegas for 2026, it'll be 6 years. I've been out here for 5.5 years. How the hell would anybody know what's going on in my life? Nobody's ever really come out to visit. My sister come out one time for like 3 days, 2 years ago, and they just ran around and did tourist stuff, which is cool, whatever. Neither here nor there, but like that child forever, where you're the same age you were when you left home, or the last time they seen you, you're that age forever. But all right, guys, that concludes this video for this week. Be sure to tune in next week, December 26th, which is Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. But all right, bye.